Is it recording now?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our group will talk about the global mobile phones industry. First, this industry includes mobile service like calls, text, data, roaming, and other digital service. It is important because it supports communication, internet access, and many daily and business activities around the world. From the market overview, you can see that this is a very big industry. In 2024, the market size was about 755.5 billion US dollars, and it is expected to grow to around 873.9 billion by 2029. But the earlier growth rate was only 0.7%, which means the industry is really quite mature. Growth now comes more from 5G data consumption, IoT, AI blending, and business demand. At the same time, many developed markets are already saturated. That's the revenue backbone. Europe leads with 80% postpaid share. Even India often seen that as a prepaid market, sits at nearly 58% postpaid. Contract service aren't just dominate; they are the funding the entire industry is built on. Asia Pacific is the biggest region, while North America and Europe also major markets. The industry main services are simple. Calls, data, and text computation happens on three dimensions: pricing, network, performance, and service quality. There's very little to differentiate. When your product is the same as your competitors, you raise to the bottom on price or flight your network supremacy. With subscription now over the global population, this is a saturated market. So now the next question is how do firms actually compete? I will call Ya- Yash V to answer the question.
Thank you so much, Lou, for giving us a global market overview on the mobile phones industry. Now, let's have a look at Porter's five forces globally. Rivalry is the highest. Minimal service differentiation means that firms are fighting aggressively on price, bundling, and 5G coverage. The remaining four forces all sit at moderate. Buyers switch easily, suppliers are specialized but offset by bulk purchasing power. Entry requires enormous capital, though MVNO makes it a little workaround. And substitutes like WhatsApp, Telegram, and Zoom do reduce voice and SMS reliance. But now here's the irony: those apps run on mobile data, so telecom have learned to observe them rather than fighting them. The bottom line is that this industry doesn't compete on what it sells; it competes on how well you lock it in. Now, let's have a look at the trends reshaping the industry. The shift from voice to data is increasing substitution risk and rivalry. Call minutes are falling 3.2% annually, which is projected to drop by 13.4% by 2029. 5G investment raises both rivalry and supplier dependence. Bundling data plus entertainment plus cloud intensifies rivalry but reduces the buyer power by locking customers in. T-Mobile's is an example where it offers the bundled services, while Vodafone is also one of the example to it, providing travel eSIMs to 200 destinations and 700 networks. You can see that the T-Mobile has the lowest churn rate of 0.86% in the whole industry. Now, when we look at the developed markets, it's quite saturated because they fight harder for existing share. But while emerging markets like India and Africa actually see the growth potential because the industry isn't dying, it's transforming. But now let's see how does this differs from regions. North America is dominated by AT&T, Verizon and T-Mobile. It's a concentrated oligopoly. The US makes up to 87% of the region's value. Firms compete on unlimited plans and 5G quality, not price wars. Substitutes are absorbed into the bundle in this area. Entry is virtually impossible over here. But now when we look at Europe, it is actually dominated by Dutch, Telecom, Vodafone, Telefonica, Orange, but it is the operation is quite fragmented across multiple national markets. That fragmentation actually drives higher rivalry in this area. Strategy pivots to integrated services like mobile, broadband, and entertainment with rapid 5G development. MVNO entry is possible over here, but not at the infrastructure level. Now, when we look at the Asia Pacific, which is one of the major markets in globally in this industry, it is also one of the most complex region. China is state controlled, India is price sensitive and growing fast. Japan and South Korea are more technology driven leaders. Now, strategy in this region means that leading 5G development is seen in China, Japan, and South Korea, but competing on affordability in India and Southeast Asia. The whole the whole Asia Pacific market actually is risingly investing in digital services like mobile payments, IoT, clouds. The supplier power is highest over here because it is the fragment of 5G hardware and ecosystem. If you look at India market, it is growing at a rate of 10%, which shows that new subscriber acquisition is still viable in this area. Now, when we look at Africa, especially South Africa with MTN, Vodacom, and Telecom, it's a developing oligopoly focused on basic service provision and infrastructure investment. The market is less saturated, making entry more viable over here, but it requires heavy capital investment because the infrastructure is an issue. Now, when we look at Australia, it is dominated by Telstra, Optus, and HTAL. The switching cost is quite low, which raises price competition, and commoditization reduces the supplier power significantly. MVNO entry is possible over here, but despite small number of players actually in the field, it is the most active deal switcher in the world. Now, I would like to call upon Shen to talk about the diamonds model.
Now, let's say what shapes the competition, and we can analyze demand model into it. At the global level, four key dimensions stand out. First, factor conditions are highly advanced but capital intensive. Competitive advantage depends on spectrum allocation, 5G infrastructure, engineering capabilities, and data center ecosystems, rather than low-cost labor. Second, demand conditions have evolved significantly. Consumers are shifting from traditional voice services towards data-intensive usage, including streaming, cloud services, and enterprise connectivity, increasing demand for high-quality and reliable networks. Third, related and supporting industries such as cloud computing, OTT platforms, semiconductor manufacturing, and telecom tower infrastructure play a critical role in value creation and innovation. Finally, firm strategy structure and rivalry show partial convergence globally. Markets are concentrated and highly regulated. Firms compete through service bundling, customer retention strategies, and continuous network upgrades. From a comparative perspective, the global industry accepts both structural homogeneity and regional heterogeneity. The similar part is that modern services are now more capital-intensive, data-driven, and increasingly shaped by 5G and digital ecosystems. However, the way each continent creates competitive advantage is still very different because market maturity, regulation, affordability, and user behavior do not evolve at the same pace. In North America, the United States represents advanced infrastructure, high postpaid use, and saturated primary demand, so competition is mainly retention rate. In Europe, the United Kingdom shows mature and highly postpaid demand, but rivalry is more fragmented across national market. In Asia Pacific, China is the strongest anchor because it combines very large scale, strong state influence, and heavy 5G investment, while the region as a whole remains highly uneven. In South America, Brazil is a useful representative case because 5G rollout is processing, but affordability pressure and the regional inequality still affect the market revenue. In the Middle East and Africa, South Africa shows that access, affordability, and infrastructure constraints still matter more than in rich regions. So the same industry exists globally, but each continent firms a different demand because economic, regulatory, technological, and demand conditions vary.
So homogeneity emerges because the global mobile market relies on the same digital AI and the data central. As usage become more data-driven, operators like everywhere face a similar pressure to invest in connectivity, energy, cooling, and the platform ecosystem. Um, heterology areas because these shade pressure meet different local conditions, population density, regulation, income, power reliability, climate, and the consumer culture all shape the rollout cost, upgrade cycle, service design, and what users value. So the same industry develop differently across regions.
So for this part, I'm gonna talk about the for industry from the physical and the technology perspective. Uh, Different countries have different infrastructure, geography, climate, and consumer behavior. So the industry developed in different ways. This page also shows that centers are becoming more important because mobile networks nor really more on cloud services, AI, and app ecosystems. In the future, energy use and cooling may become bigger challenges for the industry. And this part compares China, Germany, and United States. China has a huge market, faster product cycles, and a strong growth in 5G and AI. Germany focuses on focuses more on quality, privacy, repairability, and sustainability. So customers care about long-term value as well as price. In the United States, the market is strongly shaped by brand loyalty, premium pricing, and ecosystem competition. These differences show that each region has its own priorities in the mobile phone industry. And go for this part, look aside the UAE and South Africa. The UAE has strong digital investment and faster growth in 5G, cloud, and AI. But the hot climate also increases cooling and infrastructure costs. South Africa is more price sensitive and uneven infrastructure and unstable uh, power supply affect market development. This shows that the mobile phone industry depends not only on technology but also on local conditions and economic development. And overall, the mobile phone industry is shaped by both technology and the local environment. And here is a condition part by Ethan.
So today, the mobile communication industry is no longer just about the mobile phone device. Real value is shifting to network, load system, and the data central. At the same time, growth no longer depends mainly on the new users, but on ecosystem locked in through bundle service, AI service, and digital finance. The industry is also moving from simple communication to intelligence, while 5G improved speed, 6G and the Edge AI will further enable real-time intelligence. Therefore, further competitive advantage will be belong to firms that control the infrastructure behind the digital service. So the key conclusion of today is that although the mobile phone industry has entered a mature stage, it is still growing continuously because the core of creating value has shifted from voice to data. Due to limited product differentiation, market competition is extremely fast, and the enterprise relies more on the pricing, packages, and network quietly to compete. At the same time, the way to form competitive advantage vary in different regions, from North America to Africa. More importantly, this industry is going beyond the devices themselves, and the real competition in the future will focus on infrastructure, data centers, and a broader digital ecosystem. Here's a reference. Thank you.